Oh my God. What the hell have we done? Oh my God. Hello and welcome to Pixels in the Animation. This is episode 81. I'm, of course, Steve G and Mike. Joining me is TV's Mr. Neil.
I'll have a chili dog.
All I got was the roll. Oh, Tails. At least Tails is more present in this series because there's no other characters.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So hilarious. 5 days a week. I was so out of cartoons back in 93, 94. I do not remember this. I mean, I know 5 days, I know weekday syndication and all that, but it's like, I remember reruns of He-Man more than I remember this.
I don't even remember what network. Well, it would have been like a UHF network.
Yeah.
Channel. Like, I don't know. I don't remember when it was on, or I was usually watching like Batman the Animated Series or Animaniacs or something.
Yeah, by that point, yeah. I think I've told this story before. I forget which episode it was. It might have been the Clayface episode or one of them, but my stepmother saw that at one point. She says, "Oh, you're never watching this again." And I'm like, why? Whatever. Yeah, it just says first run syndication. It does not say a specific TV network, so it'll...
No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been like by region. It would have been, UHF, which is, could be anything.
Yeah. I just figured that it would, most cartoon stuff said, it'll say, oh, it debuted on this channel, whatever, but it doesn't.
Well, this might have been like pre-UPN, so...
Oh, yeah. Or
yeah,
it
was more toward the late 90s that, UPN and a lot of other channels were starting to buy up the UHF channels.
Yep. All right, so we've got Sonic Breakout kicking off this episode of the podcast, and Robotnik imprisons a satirical cartoonist named TV's Mr. I'm sorry.
Looks like Sonny the Cuckoo Bird.
He sounds like Sonny the Cuckoo Bird. Not really, but because I know that's Larry Kenny, but yeah, very much so. Sonny without clothing. Oh my God, it's a naked bird. Somebody call Tweety. So, he imprisons a satirical cartoonist named Sketch Lampoon for making fun of him in his comic book, much to the anger of Sonic, his biggest fan. Sonic purposefully allows himself his own capture as well, but does not expect to be placed in a maximum security jail cell with Robotnik angrily, which, God, Wikipedia, you need to fix this. Robotnik angrily sends Sonic in the cell for interfering with his plans once again. Mm-hmm. The Sonic Says segment was all about graffiti and how you should not do graffiti, folks. Mm-hmm. No taggers allowed.
But they do the joke where Sonic's like using his thumb for like scale, but it turns out he's actually just painting his thumb. But it's a human thumb, so it's actually not his thumb. That's so weird.
Yeah, that's not his thumb. That's somebody else's thumb. I don't know whose thumb, but
I think it was the animator possibly not thinking, or maybe even just throwing that in as a joke.
possibly, yeah. I'm not sure. This one, I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was great because it's not often that unless it's a specific comic series that has a card like Spider-Man the animated series, X-Men, that kind of. It's very rare that you would get a comic book reference or a comic book episode. I mean, yes, a pup named Scooby-Doo did it all the time, but that's because Shaggy and Scooby love comics. But, it's one of those things where in a video game-based cartoon, very rare, I think, that they would, unless they were trying to sell a Sonic comic, which they kind of weren't bad. There was no Sonic comic back then, right?
No, I'm pretty sure there were, because
maybe there was. I don't remember.
Sonic was with Archie Comics for a very, very long time.
That's right, yeah.
And I remember a lot of the ones that were in the other Sonic cartoon, a lot of those characters actually showed up in the Sonic comics.
Yeah, but I enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. Notes for me: Scratch and Grounder are as funny as King Hippo and Eggplant Wizard.
Oh yes, you could tell it's basically the same formula.
I mean, the only difference is that Gary Chalk is Eggplant Wizard in this with being Grounder. Because let's face it, Grounder is very much in the vein of Eggplant Wizard. You take the tank treads off that guy and change his color from green to purple, and that's, put a little tomato on the top of his head. That's Eggplant Wizard or whatever,
Yeah, you didn't do it.
Oh, Captain N. Chili dog roll. Oh my god. I missed the chili dog, but I got the roll. Come on, Tails. Oh my god. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was pretty good. What I liked most was just the design of the comic book artist, because I compared him to Sonny the Cuckoo Bird, which is very apt because that was the same. The people who made Sonny the Cuckoo Bird were the same people who did like Tennessee Tuxedo and a lot of those early television cartoons. Total TV was the name of the studio, and he looks like a Total TV character. He looks like something right out of like King Leonardo. So I love that design. It's just like so weird and like old school. And somebody at Deke really liked that style and deliberately put that in, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think so as well. And it's just so fun. It really is. And you've got a jailbreak, which we've seen jailbreak stuff all the time. I mean, that plot has been around for decades upon decades, but they make this look like it's super fun because it's supposed to be not necessarily a serious show. I mean, like I said last week in episode 80, for me, this series to this point is more of a companion to the video games than Satan was.
Oh, speaking of the jailbreak thing, another cartoon it reminds me of is Roger Ramjet. There's a very good episode of Roger Ramjet where a comedian by the name of Pinky Finger is captured by space aliens, and he has to tell jokes to make the entire world laugh or something. He's basically doing entertainment at the point of a gun, and that's basically the plot here. Is that this poor cartoonist is being forced to make Dr. Robotnik cartoons that aren't insulting to him, because that was the beginning. Is that he was making fun of Dr. Robotnik in his comics.
Yep. Yeah. And it was so funny. I thought it was great.
Yeah, great premise. I loved it.
Absolutely. What are you going to give Sonic Breakout?
I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 as well. It was really well done. Very, very cool. All right, now we have Trail of the Missing Tails. Dr. Robotnik's insane cousin, Dr. Warpnik, captures Tails and lures Sonic into his zone of confusion in order to enact revenge on Robotnik for banishing him. So, when's the Robotnik family reunion? Because we're about an episode and a half away from Mama Robotnik showing up. We need a wacky cousin. We need a weird, cranky, overpowering mother. Like, oh my god, really? Like, I get it, but yikes. Trail of the Missing Tails. I liked it, but it was a little too wacky for me.
Right. Yeah, this was almost too weird because it was... there's nothing about this character that really says that he's related to Dr. Robotnik. He's just weird and very strangely designed. Again, he kind of looks like something maybe out of like a later Ren and Stimpy cartoon, but like much more simplified.
Yeah. I mean, other than the fact that Dr. Robotnik says that it's his cousin, you're right. In the actual design of the character, looks nothing like him. I mean, at least with Mama Robotnik, she's about as big as her son or bigger, and, you know, I guess that's how he got his mustache, but we'll talk about that in a little while.
I love that she has the mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. Trail of the Missing Tails. I do like that it's focused on Tails. I think that's cool. I'm hoping if we get more Tails-focused episodes, this kid learns a little bit more. Because, like, even half the kids in He-Man are smarter than Tails at this point. I'm going to give this one a 2. What about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a 2 as well.
All right. Close Encounters of the Sonic Kind. Another wacky episode. Sonic and Tails help an alien prince fix his space shuttle to return to his home planet for coronation to become king, or else his younger brother will be crowned in his place and destroy Mobius. But his younger brother is just a kid. And I forgot to mention, Sonic says in Trail of the Missing Tails was remembering your phone number.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we didn't have cell phones back then. We had to write it down, or we had to have pagers, or, you know. Only rich people had cell phones, and even then they were bricks.
Yeah.
So... the Sonic Says segment in Close Encounter of the Sonic Kind was all about sunburns and how they're bad.
Yeah, very random Sonic Says.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what did you think of Close Encounter of the Third Sonic?
It's almost like an Earthworm Jim episode. Has nothing to do with the game. It's just very strange and just these characters that come in that have nothing to do with anything going on. They're just like, oh, we're here to be, weird and funny. And I like that, like, one of them was like a floating amoeba or whatever the hell that was. And the other one's just like this stupid tourist who just wants to walk around and take pictures. It was the prince. He's like, what was he, like the prince's older brother or something?
No, he is the prince, and he has a younger brother. And the floating... Honestly, just thinking about this now, looking at the prince and looking at the amoeba following him around, which was his... Honestly, it's their own version of Booster Gold and Skeets.
Okay.
It's the way I mean, that's the only thing I can compare it to. And then the prince was saying that he had a younger brother, but his younger brother, we find out at the end of the episode... It's just a baby or a kid or whatever else. And they ask him, well, why does he want to destroy Mobius? I don't know. He wants to destroy everything. He's a kid. Right? Okay.
Very, very reassuring that, that something like that could even happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's more likely that Itchy would Itchy would become president and fire Scratchy off to the moon. Hey, I was elected to lead, not to read. Oh God!
There's one little bit of foreshadowing in this episode where Dr. Robotnik goes to fire up his little floating car thing, and it doesn't start right away. He's like, "Oh, I need to get the engine checked." I'm like, wonder what's going to happen here. And sure enough, later in the episode, there's a bunch of stone pillars that get knocked down like dominoes, and and they're about to fall on him, and he goes to leave, and it's like, and bam, it lands on him. So,
yeah.
I saw that coming like 10 minutes before it happened, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the comedy in this show is good. It's not god awful. It's eye roll worthy at best most of the time, but it's not. What could I compare it to? It's not like a Larry the Cable Guy special.
Oh God!
What are you gonna give Close Encounters?
I'll give it a 3.
Same here. All right, now it's Mama Robotnik's birthday, folks. So everybody better have a present for Mama Robotnik, and the Robotnik's obnoxious mother visits her son for her birthday and expects a present after he fails to destroy a nearby forest as a present. However, she decides to capture Sonic as her own gift. And because they destroyed a forest, or tried to destroy a forest, the Sonic Says segment is all about trees. Good old Arbor Day. Mama Robotnik. She doesn't wax her upper lip, does she?
No.
She hasn't been doing that for years. As soon as I saw the mustache on her, the first thing I thought of was Christmas Vacation when they're in bed and Ellen is like, your mother's gonna accuse my mother of waxing her upper lip, and she does that? She's been doing that for years. Oh, it doesn't show.
I like that they just put a dress on Dr. Robotnik and called it a day. It's basically,
yeah.
It's actually funnier than King Koopa's mother.
Mm-hmm.
Again, same premise, but Koopa doesn't have a mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that they put a dress on Robotnik, gave him a female voice, and yeah.
Unfortunately, they gave the role to a female actor, which is fine. But I think it would have been funnier if it was the same male actor just doing a female voice.
Long John Baldry is that would have been
hysterical.
Yeah. That would have been. So Mama Robotnik's birthday, I think it's a fun episode. I think it's interesting. I think it's funny. I think it's funny how, we were saying earlier and we were saying last week how most of this show with Robotnik, it's basically showing how big he is and whatever else, and there's a scene in this where he ends up head first in the mud and all you see is his ass. I'm like, oh God.
You're going to see a lot of that ass over the next several episodes.
Oh. That's not... No.
I actually read a quote by one of the writers or one of the artists that said, like, they made sure to make that, like, the sexiest fat ass in cartoons.
Oh, my God.
They actually said that.
Oh, my God. No. All right. Anything else from Mama Robotnik? Anything else you did or didn't like on this one?
No.
What would you give it?
I'll give it maybe a 2.5. Okay. Kind of fell apart toward the end with the teddy bear and,
Yeah, that was a little strange. I'm also going to give it a 2.5. Like,
although I did like the end where the white coats came and took Mama Robotnik away.
Yeah, that was funny.
I'm like, thank you, cartoon.
All right, so finally up today we've got Big Daddy, and no, Adam Sandler is not in this one.
Thank God.
But, you know what? I think we got to talk about Gorilla My Dreams a little bit more than this, because holy crap, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, hey, where's Bugs Bunny? Because this is essentially Gorilla My Dreams.
I was thinking that the whole time.
So, after being exiled by Robotnik, Coconuts finds a lost baby gorilla who thinks he is his father. Coconuts attempts to use the gorilla to stop Sonic. The baby gorilla's father, meanwhile, is under the control of Robotnik, and Sonic has to save him. The Sonic Says segment was telling parents where you're going. Notes on this one: Pierre De Celis, an animation director, described Big Daddy as an episode he felt really proud of. Though he described the editing as poor, he described the animation process as taking 4 times longer than usual, since the animator of the episode was deaf and mute. DeCellis described his translator as just great. Okay. But yeah, Big Daddy, it's... Again, I was waiting for Bugs Bunny to come swinging in on a vine.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only thing I could think of was Gorilla My Dreams.
Right. I love all the jokes where the baby gorilla is way overpowered, so... Everything he does hurts the villains.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs him by the legs and just like whaps him back and forth on the ground.
Yeah.
What's your name? Boom, 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 boom.
Well, you know what they're ripping off there, right?
What?
Bam, bam.
Yeah, there's that.
It's Bam Bam Rubble, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This episode was... Some of the other episodes in this podcast have been wacky. This episode was just strange. And the reason why it was strange is because essentially they kidnapped Grape Ape.
Mm-hmm.
Grape Ape. I mean, seriously. As soon as I was waiting. I never got a full body image of the character. I don't need one now at this point, but it's one of those things where I was really waiting to see if he had a hat on his head. Because all I can think of is Grape Ape. And oh God, who is his handler? Oh God,
Mr. Beagley.
Mr. Beagley, that's right. Oh yes. My God, I love Mr. Beagley. Oh God, it's hilarious. Big Daddy, what are you gonna give it?
I'll give it a 2.5. Half the cartoon was this story about a mind-controlled gorilla, and the other half the story was like this sort of baby Huey story where you have like this overpowered infant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a straight 3. It wasn't. You're right. The story is kind of because it's 2 different stories in one episode, mm-hmm. But this is pretty much middle of the road.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're gonna take a quick break. Come back to close the show out after this.
Decian, the superhero webcomic. Decian's got superhero antics and sexy girls. For action, comedy, mayhem, and more, read it now at Decian.com. DASIEN.com.
Kid?
Yes?
Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG and Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in depth and Beyond the Night only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
It's Showtime Synergy. The latest review podcast from the Geekcast Radio Network is here. So join TFG1 Mike, Nicole Hailstorm, and myself, Lady Rec, as we will be reviewing all 65 episodes of Joe and the Holograms in a 25-episode-long podcast. You can find Showtime Synergy on iTunes and GeekCastRadio.com. We are the truly outrageous podcast that you want to be listening to.
Sonic, where are you? Yeah! Ooh, I didn't get the chili dog, but I sure got the role.
We are back here on Pixels in the Animation, and it's time to close the show out. So far, I'm liking the series. It's, you know, when a series sets out to be singular, I mean, they do have some continuity because it's still the same animation, it's still the same characters. Obviously, you're going to have Sonic and Tails, Scratch and Grounder, and Dr. Robotnik, and they'll introduce other characters here and there. But essentially, it's, you know, cartoon of the day more so than part 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of a story arc. Right. Which is perfectly fine. If you're going to set out to be a cartoon series that is going to be nothing but, you know, villain of the day, villain scheme of the day, that kind of thing, it's fine. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And there are some parts with these first 10 episodes that I cringed, and there are a lot of parts that I actually laughed at them. Like Tails' whole, I missed the chili dog, but I got the roll. Like, I cackled at that. I'm like, oh my god. They did not just do a chili dog roll joke. Oh god. What are you thinking at this point after the first 10 or so?
I think I would have. This wouldn't have been my favorite show back then, but I think I could have watched it while it was on because it's much more digestible. Like, there were times during SATAM that I just had to get up and walk away. And this time I was just able to power through a bunch of episodes and didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, there were some kind of lulls here and there, but, you know, there was enough funny to keep me invested.
Absolutely. Same here. All right, we're going to get the heck out of here, folks. Thank you for joining us here on Pixels in the Animation. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, comment on this and all of other episode posts. Visit Decian.com, that's Neil's webcomic website. Go on over there and check out the stuff that he does. Very satirical cartoonist. Please, no one kidnap him. You can leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. We need iTunes feedback because that's really the only feedback I usually see anyway half the time because we don't really get any feedback anywhere else. Let's see here. You can email us, feedback at geekcastradio.com. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at TFG1Mike. You can follow at GeekCastRadio for all the other network updates. What is your Twitter?
Keelan Bailey.
You can follow us on... Compose. You can... Shut up! Stop it! You can follow us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. You can also head on over to Neil's Facebook. Just search out TV's Mr. Neil and you'll find him over there. Join us next time when we'll be talking about Sonic's song, Birth of a Salesman. So Robin Williams is going to be in that episode. Joey, we missed you. Sorry. Bad Robin Williams movie joke. Best Hedgehog, Robotnik Express. USA is going to sue you, dude. There's only one Express. That's the USA Cartoon Express, damn it. And then Two Tall Tales. Wasn't that a movie about Babe and Paul Bunyan? Anyway. For now, I am TFG and Mike with...
TV's Mr. Neil.
Join us next time and help us find the pixels in the innovation.
And TV's Mr. Neil says, don't cross the street in the middle of the block.
You'd have to be a new kid to do that.
Oh, boo.
Oh, God. I was not trying to pause that time. I was trying to catch my breath. Because I was about to start laughing hysterically. Oh, my God.
Uh-oh! What do you mean, uh-oh? Uh-oh!
Boy, am I in trouble.
You know, I think I saw this mansion on Lifestyles of the Mean and Rotten.